Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sunshine Coast Regional District regular board meeting of Thursday, January 28th, 2021. And I'm here calling us to order at 2:01 p.m. I would like to acknowledge that the Sunshine Coast Regional District is located on the traditional territories of the Squamish and the Shuswap First Nations, and we are coming to you interspersed amongst those lands right now in this lovely age of COVID. So thank you all for joining us today. We have an amended agenda in front of us today. So before we move to adopt our amended agenda, I do know that Director Hiltz has asked for one item of new business to be added. Director Hiltz, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item of new business would be electoral area forum.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking to other directors if there's anything else you'd like to add on anywhere, and to staff if there's anything else that needs to be added to the agenda today. Okay, seeing nothing, no further comments, I'm going to ask that we have a motion to adopt this amended agenda, please. So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you, motion carries. Moving through, we have the Annex A, pages 1 through 12 of our package, the regular board meeting minutes of January 14th, 2021. Before we move to adopt these minutes, I'm going to ask for a motion to receive all minutes, reports, and correspondence. So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. So the regular board meeting minutes of January 14th, 2021. Are there any errors, omissions, or additions before we move to adopt these minutes? Director Toth?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just looking at on page 2 and 3. I missed it the first time. I only just saw it now. Looking at resolution 00421, the way that that's written, I wasn't opposed to the entire block. I was only opposed to the remuneration bylaw update. The other items in the the other items in that list I wasn't actually opposed to.
Okay. Corporate Officer?
Thank you, Chair. We can make the correction. We can pull out the, is it the table in particular, Director Toth? If we pull that out and make a separate resolution and record your opposition to that, would that cover it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how we went back, because I think I moved a bunch of it, but I'd asked that we voted on the CPI and the conference stuff separate from the other, from the actual table itself.
So if we pull out the first and that, and the second and that, would that cover it for you? Or sorry, just the first and that?
It's just the first and that.
We can make that correction.
Okay, Director Seekers?
Sorry, just for clarification, which ones are we pulling up? The first one is about the base rates. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the base rates and the CPI. Okay, thank you.
Yep. I think it was just the first that. It wasn't the second and that, and in regards to the BC consumer price, the CPI. Is that correct, Director Toth?
That's right. It was just the base rates and the table that associate with it. Everything else I was fine with.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Are there any other changes that need to be done to the minutes before we adopt them as amended? Okay, so can I ask for a motion to adopt the minutes with that change as indicated? So moved Director Toth, seconded Director McMahon. Are there any further questions on this before we call it? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. And is there any business arising from the minutes? Directors or staff? All right, seeing nothing, we will continue on. Any presentations? No presentations and delegations today. We do have a series of reports to get through and recommendations to adopt as a board. The first up is number 3 on the agenda, the Infrastructure Services Committee recommendations, numbers 1 through 6 of January 14th, 2021. This is on Annex B, pages 13 to 15 in your package. Directors, before we adopt these recommendations as a block, would you like to pull any of the recommendations for additional scrutiny is the word that comes to mind, but I know the word is actually debate. I don't see anyone jumping up, so I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the recommendations number 1 through 6 of the Infrastructure Services Committee of January 14th, 2021. So moved Director McMahon, seconded Director Seegers. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next up, Annex C, pages 16 through 20 of your package. Number 4 on the agenda is the Planning and Community Development Committee recommendations, numbers 1 through 13 of January 21st, 2021. Directors, before we move this as a block, are there any that you would like to debate again separately? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone jumping up and down, so I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the PCD committee recommendations numbers 1 through 13 of January 21st, 2021. So moved Director Toth, seconded Director Seegers. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next up, Annex D, pages 21 to 22 of our package. Number 5 on your agenda, the Special Infrastructure Services Committee recommendations numbers 1 and 2 of January 20th, 2021. Directors, would you like to debate these separately before we move the 2 of them as a block? Okay. May I ask for a motion to adopt the recommendations of the Special Infrastructure Services Committee of January 20th, 2021. So moved Director Seegers, seconded Director McMahon. Any further comment or discussion on this? This was a really good conversation, and it's been a bit of a conversation starter on Facebook as well. So it's things that need to be done. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next up, we have Annex E, pages 23 to 25 of our package, number 6 on your agenda. And this is the 20, yes.
We've got the late
late
yes, recommendations.
Oh my goodness. My apologies. We have an amended agenda. 5A. Whoops. Okay. Thank you for holding or for interrupting me there. 5A, which is page 22A and B, and this was the this was our Corporate and Administrative Services Committee recommendations, numbers 3, 9, 11 to 13th of January 28th, 2021. So that was from earlier today. This is what happens. You have a little bit of a break in the day and you completely forgot that you had a meeting. Directors, before we adopt these recommendations as a block, would you like to pull any of them for further debate? Director Seegers.
Sorry, not for further debate. Just in recommendation 3, we had also indicated that Director Ties, oh, sorry, it says chair in brackets. I missed that. My mistake. Thank you.
Excellent. That's okay. I totally forgot that we had an amended agenda, so that's all right. We missed a word. Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt these recommendations, please. So moved Director Toth, seconded Director Ties. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, I am going to call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next up is number 6, and that's the 2021 Advisory Planning Commission Appointments Report from our corporate officer, and that's Annex E, pages 23 to 25 of our package. I'm going to pass it over to the corporate officer for any comment, please, or to enter the report.
Thank you, Chair. This is a standard report that comes forward every January at the last board meeting, whereby directors make appointments to their respective advisory planning commission. A list of names has been provided in attachment A for the director's review and consideration.
Okay. Rural directors or electoral area directors, do you have any comments on this or any changes? Director McMahon.
No changes. I'm just very happy that most of my volunteers are continuing, and I had a new one as well. So big thank you to the folks who volunteer in the community to sit on the APC. Now we only have to give them something to do.
Yes, we have had a lot of meetings that were canceled in the last half of the year. Director Toth, I saw your hand up. Did you have a comment?
I had a question, but it's all good. I'll follow up with the electoral director directly. Thanks.
Okay. I do have to make a couple of changes to some of the appointments for Area B, and which will require just a slight amendment to this. So I will be removing Elise Rudland, and I will ask that Alda and Eleanor will be on 1-year terms, please. Okay, Director McMahon, I did see your hand up. Yes.
I thought I should make a motion, but I wanted you to finish all the this first.
All right. So Director, the rest of the electoral area directors, were there any other changes you wanted to make before we went through the recommendations on page 23? Okay, seeing none, over to Director McMahon then.
Okay, I will move the recommendations on page 23 as amended by Director Pratt.
Okay. Corporate officer, is that sufficient for a motion?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And may I have a seconder for that, please? Seconded, Director Lee. Okay, any further conversation or debate on this? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you, motion carries. One thing that I would like to flag, but I'm not ready for a motion or anything on it at this time, is looking at, and I know from talking with the other electoral area directors, is looking at APC length of term, the number of terms that APC members sit on an APC, or looking at some adjustments within the APC framework. But so I just want to flag that for electoral area directors, that I will be bringing that up at a future time once I've figured out where and when with staff we should put that as a just to look at it. And I know we've had a couple of things come up. So I also wanted to check in with staff on the timing or the scheduling of the APC orientation session, if one has been scheduled yet, and if the rural area directors can come in as well. Mr. Hall, if you'd like to take that.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Apologies, I don't have the exact date in front of me, but I know that it is being scheduled for February per our usual plan, and absolutely directors are welcome to attend. And that will be communicated with notice, the date. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, GM Hall. I appreciate that. Any other questions or comments on the report or for staff? Okay, seeing none, we will go on to the next item on our agenda as I go from agenda to make sure that we've got everything. Next up is number 7, and this is the Chief Administrative Officer's report of January 28th, 2021. Annex F, page 26 of our package. Over to the CAO, please. You're on, okay, here, would that work? There we go. Can we hear you now?
There.
There we go.
My audio's down. I missed what you were saying. I'm trying to
we're up to your report.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chair. I've submitted my report. Hopefully my reports are a little more detailed than they used to be now that there's the weekly CAO updates going out, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And I think I've realized that I had my microphone or my speaker volume down. Thank you.
Excellent. So looking to directors, do you have any questions for the CAO on his report? Director McMahon?
Yeah, the last item that suggests that the CAO will be meeting with the other electoral area directors to talk about gas tax. Are we doing this as a group or one-on-one, or how's that going to work?
Haven't ironed out the details yet. I'm happy to do it either way. It's just a matter of getting it scheduled to look for opportunities to discuss projects that may be eligible to utilize gas tax funds. And both things that are on the work plan of currently at the FCRD and things that might be eligible that aren't currently on the work plan that we could look to in the future.
Okay, any further questions for the CAO? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to communications. First up, we have Annex G, page 27 to 28 of the package. And this is, this is regarding the Community School Society, regarding a letter of support, which I believe we've, Director Lee, I'll send it over to you to comment on.
Yes, thank you, Chair. We did pass a motion earlier that addressed this communication, so all is good.
Excellent. Okay, next up, if there's any other questions on that. Okay, next up is the Let's Talk Trash. Any directors have any questions or staff have comments? GM Rosenboom, I see you've unmuted yourself, so I'm certainly interested if you have something that you'd like to say on this.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. The only thing I would like to point out is that the letter states that we are the land manager for this specific area, which is not really true. It's because the sites are all within the marine environment and not really close to the shore. It's definitely outside of a jurisdiction, but I certainly recommend a letter of support to be provided.
Okay. Directors, Director McMahon.
I'd be happy to move that we send a letter of support for the worthy cause of cleaning up Nelson Island.
Okay. Thank you, Director McMahon. And I see a seconder from Director Toth. So this is for a letter of support in regards to cleaning up Nelson Island. Or the beaches of, or we'll just, I don't know. I won't wordsmith it because it might end up being really awkward. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Director Lee.
I was wondering if perhaps we could get them to move further down and clean up some more beaches.
Keep on coming. Okay. Seeing no more hands up, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, so that was it for communications. We don't have any motions today. We don't have any bylaws because I think we passed them all in huge, massive blocks earlier in the month, or late last year. I'm just kidding. I love bylaws. They just get a little wordy. But we do have our director's reports. So we will go by hands, and I see Director Beamish has put his hand up, so he can go first. You weren't volunteering, Bill?
Oh, that's great. I don't mind going first, but I just want to take you back to the correspondence from the Pender Harbor School. I know that Director Lee had mentioned that we dealt with that before, but we actually dealt with that in committee. And I wonder if we need to pass a resolution at the board meeting in support of that, confirming our earlier resolution in committee, so they could go forward for action with staff.
We actually did that with recommendation number 13.
Okay, so good. I missed it. Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
good. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to take a phone call, so I missed that conversation.
Excellent.
Okay. I will go first then. And the only thing I wanted to report on is that we just put out a news release today on the COVID Restart Grant program that we've established here in Gibson's. And we've established a small fund of $25,000 from our COVID Restart money for grants of up to $1,000 to nonprofit organizations or groups that are providing services in our community. They don't have to be based in here, but providing services that have been impacted by COVID, like the rest of us. And so just to offset some of their costs, this is a staff approved grant. So we don't have to have a board meeting or council meeting to approve it. And it's a rolling intake, so that you can apply tomorrow, and they can apply in September, or they can apply in December, sort of thing. But just so that they have the opportunity to apply for that. And one example that came up this morning was the example of the new shelter we've got in place. It's costing them $250 a week now for laundry costs at a commercial laundry, because that they don't have access to other facilities. So if they said, apply for that grant, that would offset some of those costs for a month anyway, sort of thing. And there may be many other reasons. I know that the hospice was looking for and will be also applying. So the library is eligible to apply, the fire hall. Anybody who's had COVID-related costs can come forward with those, and staff can approve the grant of up to $1,000. So that's out there now. That's about all I have to report right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Beamish. So we're going to do the rest of the director's reports also by volunteer. So who would like to go next? Director Ties, what's going on in Roberts Creek?
Thank you, Chair. Let me just grab my notes here. I attended the Sunshine Coast Youth Action Advisory Council meeting this week, and I've actually just recently realized that this is what the director's reports are for, is to actually report on these kind of things. Good thing to have gotten in my orientation. Somehow I missed that, but 2 years late, but better late than never. Sunday in the Park with Pride is now called Sunday on the Porch with Pride because they're going online. So a lot of it is done online now. I also got acquainted to Chelsea Fortin, our coordinator for everything off the ice and out of water regarding recreation. And learned that lower intensity fitness classes are back on. Probably the biggest news out of this meeting was that 64 families are receiving support up and down the Sunshine Coast through food supplements. And that's organized by Ted Chisholm of the Sunshine Coast Youth Committee. I forget what the acronym's for, but it's done through the school system. And the funds have been kindly donated by United Way, and it's already up to $33,000 that have gone through that system. So this is something that I think we need to keep our eye on, and we need to make sure that such a program, which was started as a result of COVID, but I don't think it should die. And once COVID is over. So I think we need to keep our eye on it. And I think it's a very worthwhile project. And as well, Community Services has 2 new youth workers and is fully staffed. The Daniel Kingsbury grant is open for, or is accepting applications. And Jordan Griggs is the new youth clinician. So that's from the Youth Action Advisory Council. I've gotten some emails where people are concerned about COVID fatigue, and I've certainly witnessed it in the community. And I think it's a good idea to keep that on top of the agenda and make sure that people are still continuing to do social distancing, not do essential travel, especially. I've seen a lot of that happening lately. And COVID fatigue is a real thing, and I think we need to make sure that we encourage everybody to continue to be diligent. I've also gotten some feedback about the newspaper article with my face as the as the leading voice against marijuana grow-ops, which is not what I'm intending here. All I want is some ability for us to be able to make sure that everything is done according to the rules in place. But you know, I've gotten some feedback about people that are building purpose-built grow-ops in the creek and under medical marijuana licenses, and that they're not even concerned that this is for their own personal consumption. And I've also passed on some requests. I'm also happily passing on requests for tree cutting regulations that keep coming to me, to the office of our MLA. And so that's continuing to happen, but I'm now passing the buck on that one. That's it for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Ties. Who would like to volunteer for next? Director Hiltz. West Howe Sound.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, get it done. Lots of interest in the Grantham's landing on the Grantham's post office application. It's continuous, full, and I think staff are getting a good file of contact. We're in the preliminary stages, so that's an active topic here. In terms of January 15th was the Ocean Watch Action Committee /network, which is convened by Ruth Simons at the UNESCO Biosphere Initiative. There's about 30 people there from around the Sound. A couple highlights. The planner from Squamish, Sarah McJanet, presented a District of Squamish is working on a marine zoning aspect to their land use planning, and so it's they're really moving a long ways in their authority and jurisdiction around marine land use planning. So it's something to watch. There is a presentation, and these are stored on the Biosphere site if someone wants to follow it up. Part of that discussion is about how this group is changing from the task force to the action committee, and the elected around the table, there's people who want it more formalized, like terms of references and this type of thing, and then there's another side which is more round table, less formality around it. So These are something that's going to be worked on in the months to come. And one of the things that I'm waiting for is Metro Vancouver staff will be reporting on how Metro Vancouver as a regional district can participate in this, not a service, this clearinghouse people are kind of talking about. So that's on February 12th. So that'll help inform perhaps on how the regional district can participate. Metro has a lot of resources behind, which is their electoral area A joins SCRD in Howe Sound. I think, yeah. And the other piece of that is what there is an action tracker, which is something to monitor how sound is actually improving, and this is one of those things that how to keep track of the improvements to how sound as under the auspices of the to be biosphere. So it's definitely a work in progress. It's a great place to share information. It was well attended. I think Whistler was the only local government who wasn't there. So that's a report.
Terrific. Thank you, Director Hiltz. Director Toth, you are next.
Thank you, Chair. I have a few things written down and panic writing here. I usually have bylaws that I can write my director's report through, but here we go. Seashelt's in the midst of its AAP process for the new operations center. There have been a lot of concerns raised about the costs, which we're continuing to have dialogue with people about every day. Our sewer budget presentation was yesterday at our committee of the whole. We've got public engagement and some outreach coming soon. Staff have been releasing surveys and questionnaires on the website to try and get people more engaged in the budget process. We've got a public hearing coming up February 16th. It's rescheduled from, I think it was originally supposed to be tonight, actually, for a small lot subdivision downtown just by the fire hall in Seashelt there. And fairly straightforward application, but it's working its way through the system. We've got bylaw amendments that have come forward for Habitat for Humanity to allow them to build a fourplex at their Wilson Creek property instead of a duplex for the last building. So that'll give them 2 extra units on the property. We've asked our staff to look at registering Seashelt as a filming location. It's too bad alternate director Kroll isn't here because I'm sure he'd be excited to hear that. But yeah, staff are going to have to develop policies and procedures, et cetera, around that. But it could be a good boost for our community as we get out of COVID here. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention was that our staff came forward with a grant opportunity for the COVID Resilience Infrastructure Fund to make significant gains on our active transportation network. I think the highlight of it is that we would have walking and biking paths from the highway at Mason Road, up Mason Road, past West Seashelt Elementary, past Norwest Bay, and across over to Kinnickinnick Elementary. And we're already working on bike paths from Kinnickinnick Elementary down to where we've been doing the work on trail. So we'll almost end up with a circular route there when we're done, if it's all approved. Not too much else to report, so I think I'll just leave it at that.
Terrific. Thank you, Director Toth. Director McMahon, you're up next.
Okay. I haven't been to very many external meetings lately, but I did attend the Talisay Tours Squamish, Seashelt, and Early Pioneer History of Gibson's walking tour, except that the walking was done by the Zoom. It was with Candace Campo and Dale Peterson, and they did a really good job. Although you kind of got seasick after a while from the smartphone that was going along with them. So I really look forward to the opportunity to do that in person someday. And I meant to tell them that I really think they should film this tour because it's really interesting and there's a lot of great anecdotes from both histories, which makes it a much richer experience. I very much enjoyed ranting about the corridor review on my website, and I look forward to many future opportunities to expand on the subject. A little bit further to Director Toth's comments on active transportation, I am really concerned that active transportation is essentially stalled in the rural areas on the Sunshine Coast. And it has been stalled now for a number of years. We need a strategy. I realize that we are in a very difficult position because there is a failure of leadership on the part of MOTI. And so the SCRD has historically sort of stepped into the gap, and we are not really resourced to be doing this. But here we go again. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. So we do need to have the conversation, particularly because we are also looking at how to spend our gas tax funds. I also look forward to some conversations with Gibsons about changing traffic patterns between the municipality and Elphinstone, because there's a lot of changes to our traffic grid coming up. And finally, I have been thinking a lot. I don't have any answers yet. I only have questions. I'm great at questions. But I think as a board, individually and as a board, we need to be thinking a bit about how we are going to action our strategic objective of promoting social equity. We've spent some considerable time telling people who want to talk to us about water meters that if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And I'm afraid the same thing is probably true of social equity. If we are not measuring it in the regional district, then how do we know if we're accomplishing anything? So I do think we need to look at that. In an ideal world, some other regional district will already have figured this out and we can just steal whatever they're doing. We might not be that lucky, but I would like to have some conversations with that, and I'm certainly interested in feedback from the community on that topic. So thank you.
Thank you, Director McMahon. And that's the concept of social equity was something that I actually populated that I saw popping up through social media around the questionnaire around our curbside recycling and people debating that back and forth. And, you know, if we're looking at things like landfill bans on products, you know, how are we expecting people or families with one vehicle to get their recycling to depots if we're not looking at other lenses? And so it's not just the cost factor, it's also how the travel patterns are and the demographics of our community. So it would be we need to do a deeper dive on that, and but thank you for continuing to bring that forward. I appreciate that. So who would like to go next? I see Director Lee. Sorry, Warren, he got in there just before you did. I'll put you next.
I'm glad to defer. Oh.
Go ahead.
I was the keynote speaker at a Pender Harbor and District Chamber AGM, and I found it quite interesting preparing for the talk. It made me understand more about our own projects. It took a while though. Amazing what I didn't know. I updated them. So of course it's from a business point of view, and I updated them on our water initiatives and the fact that the whole coast is involved in this kind of thing because our economic development is so integrally tied together. And I shared the good news about the wells. I talked about solid waste, and I could talk about our proposed solutions to it. And I got to talk about the need to recycle and the upcoming organics collection. And I talked about liquid waste and the need to have enough capital to finance future projects. Then I moved on, talked about affordable housing and the role that our B&Bs would play on it, our new B&B legislation or bylaws. Talked about the housing need assessment we just finished and the next steps to it. And the fact that Area A OCP already has quite a bit on that they could use if the businesses would just get together and start doing their own, helping themselves by doing their own affordable subdivisions and build affordable housing for their own workers and sell it to them at cost and use the suggestion in the OCP of using the existing laws to stop profiteering. And then I talked about our plans for improving bylaw enforcement. You wouldn't believe what Ian's going to be doing for us in the future. I hope he knows that. And then I talked about our emergency planning, and I went over what I call the 2 Michael reports, which the second one was specifically, first one's everything to do about our fire departments. And the next one is the updating of the emergency plan. And I kind of forgot about them because we got them way back in 2019. But in fact, we're making progress on all of them. And the last thing I talked about was our 2021 proposed projects to help with the emergency planning, the wildfire protection plan that we're getting developed, and our EOC mass communications project, which is nearing completion. And I must say, I guess because it was business and they're very much realists, but afterwards I got several calls saying that it was very interesting and a dang on subject. So I wanted to say it appears like we're doing the right thing, you guys. And the last thing I did was I went to the APC last night, and there's two cell towers talked about there. One, I won't, Misery Mile, we know where it is now, but it's just up from Grips. And the other one is by the Iris Griffith Center, which actually will be servicing Ruby Lake. There was lots of discussion about the look of the towers and trying to hide what they look like and the fact that they're there on the side of the road. And I really wish you'd move them 100 feet back and all those things. And I understand that. But I've got a fairly realistic APC. And the bottom line is they understood the need for cell service for all the reasons that it is. So it went not so bad. Anyways, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lee. Up next, I have Director Paul, and then Director Seekers, you're on deck.
Thank you, Chair. We've had a relatively interesting time in the last few weeks going through our budgetary process. We rolled out our comprehensive, we're integrating our comprehensive community plan into our pandemic plan. We're each trying to have a conversation around it. Our pandemic plan is newly minted. We passed it, I believe, beginning in November, and the community is very interested in the results of that, and trying to get that information out to the membership has been fun-filled. A lot of interest and a lot of opinion and a lot of debate, and that's a good thing. I mean, it really is, because people have to understand some of the stuff that we've been into, and we've never had one. Although the last plan, emergency operations plan we had, was based on earthquake, and that was from the late 80s. So everything is up for debate and a discussion. I got a group running around like crazy right now trying to get under the wire for an ISIP grant application, which ends, I think it's tomorrow. And I've had them beating on my door every 30 seconds saying, what about this, what about that, what about this, what about that? And it's all small money, but it's all to great effects, which is a great and wonderful thing. So everybody is doing what they're supposed to do on that end. I had to spend some time in the last couple of days going over our homeless and housing process, and we're having an interesting discussion around that. And one of the things that seems to be flying under the radar is that the Sunshine Coast, when you look at our area as a median, is second only to the downtown east side for the problems that are being faced with regards to all the drug issues that are happening, the contaminated drugs and that. And I've got a fair bit of people that are within my community are raising red flags around that and wanting to engage. So that conversation is heating up in a real hurry, and we're about to set the table for that. It's a matter of trying to figure out how many meetings can we have in a week. So that's going to get rather interesting really quick. And today, about 70 pounds was taken off my back. I hired a new CFO. So with all that in place, I'm now off the finance committee, which is a great thing. So safer for the nation all around, believe you me. So I think that's about all there is for me to spiel on about for today. And yeah, look forward to carrying on.
Thank you, Director Paul. I'm a little worried when you say how many more meetings can we fit in a week, because that seems like a dare to the universe, really. So challenge not accepted. But I'll move over to Director Seegers, who is no stranger of the meeting.
Yes. So Director Toth actually covered off a lot of things, just a few more things to mention. The Community Action Team has a new project coordinator. Megan Burrows stepped down at the end of the year. The new director is Sierra Knapp. They've had their first meeting. I'm attending a meeting there with them tomorrow. ICE-T. So as you know, I'm on the board of ICE-T. At a request of the province, the boundaries of ICE-T have been extended slightly. It was requested that some of the Gulf Islands become part of the ICE-T area. So the changes are showing on the map on their website. They've changed the maps and all that kind of stuff. So it's on there. We are requesting additional funds because the funds we have has stayed the same. We've just expanded our boundaries. So we'll see where that conversation goes. One of the items that wasn't mentioned from our recent council meeting was we adopted the official community plan amendment and zoning amendment bylaws for Silverstone. That's the trellis application. So they'll be moving forward with getting ready for their building permit. And then one final thing, community investment program grants. So that's the grant in aid. It's called Community Investment Program in Seashelt. The application period is now open, and deadline for applications is February 8th, 2021. So we've got about a week. There are two types of grants that you can apply for. One is an annual grant program. We also have a multi-year operating grant stream. And so it depends on what you apply for. I know last year, I don't remember the number, something like 3 or 4. We did multi-year grants. They still have to provide the same documentation back to us each year. Like they have to give us their, financial statements, things like that, but they don't actually have to apply. They have been granted funding for a number of years. One final thing, we have a new engineer that started with us, Megan Lee, came to us from Fort Langley, I believe it was. We are looking at splitting the roles in our engineering department. Sanat Bandera will be taking on the civic works kind of thing, so roads and sewers and things like that. And Megan will be working with our Water Resource Center and developments. So we'll see how that plays out over the next while, but Sanat's handled all of that for years. We finally got some help for her. So we got introduced to her last evening at yesterday afternoon at our committee of the whole meeting. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Terrific. Thank you, Director Seegers. So I will round out reports with what's going on in Area B. Of course, a big thing tonight, a community engagement session regarding Cooper's Green replacement hall, and that starts at 7 o'clock. login information for directors is within our calendar, and it's also on the regional district website at scrd.ca under the Cooper's Green tab. So looking forward to the session tonight, and our staff and the consultant working with the community and listening what's going on there. Other things, just a reminder about the curbside recycling questionnaire that's out and about in the community that our infrastructure staff is looking after, and it's open February 18th, 19th is when it closes, I think. Yeah, and so make sure you're continuing to push that out to the constituents in the electoral areas B, D, E, and F. The landfill discussion or the landfill report, I should say, from last week's Special Infrastructure Services Committee is populating a lot of discussion, especially in the Half Moon Bay area. So it's seen a lot on social media, getting asked a lot of questions via email, phone call, at my APC earlier this week. I have a couple of questions. I think just a couple of the locations people, are questioning me on, and I might actually have to do some trekking in the woods, and we'll see about that yeah, we'll talk to staff about that later. So I had my APC on Tuesday night, and we talked TELUS Tower. There's a proposed TELUS Tower. TELUS had come forward in July in the summer with a proposal which met with a lot of opposition amongst the community, and they've come back with based on some of their research, as well as in speaking with the community, they have another proposed location, and we're seeing a mixed response on that. So we discussed that extensively at APC on Tuesday. And receiving a lot of correspondence on that on both sides. So we'll see how the rest of that consultation moves forward. Coming up this week, tomorrow afternoon, along with the mayors of Sechelt and Gibsons and with staff from those jurisdictions, we'll be sitting down with members of the construction industry to discuss challenges and possible opportunities and solutions for moving things forward. So we'll be happy to bring back a report from that after. We also tomorrow have our Sunshine Coast Leaders meeting along with the mayors and Haywus and our MLA and Member of Parliament. We have every 2 weeks we sit down and have a meeting and a check-in on how we're all doing and what's going on within. And it's a great opportunity to hear about any funding opportunities that are coming through the province or through the federal government. So, and then Saturday, Sechelt Library Board meeting. So I will provide an update after that. And of course, we'll see them next week when we have budget, and looking forward to that as well. From the other side, everyone check your email. Scredo has sent out an email that's it's directed to the business community about regarding how things are going for them in light of a lot of the activity that Scredo and the Sunshine Coast Business Recovery Center did around their work. They've got a survey that they've sent out via email. It just came through this afternoon. So if you need that, I can always forward that to you. So you can forward it to any local business owners that you may have on your email list. The other thing, as chair, I've met with I was talking with our CAO about setting up a list of all of these orientation items and these lunch and learn and all the list of stuff that we want to learn more about. And we're going to set up a schedule. We're going to meet to set up a schedule of when we can start moving through some of these items, along with the vice chair and with our executive assistant and with our corporate officer. And we'll get moving through some of these orientation and items that we need, that we're feeling that we need some more learning around. So if you have anything specific that you'd like prioritized that have come up, just send either myself or Alton an email, or Vice Chair Toth, and we'll make sure it goes on the list. And we're just right now trying to figure out when we're going to have a meeting, because we're very booked next week, and want to move some of these learning opportunities forward so we can better serve our community and serve each other. So with that, we'll call the director's reports to a close, unless there's something that someone missed that they wanted to add. But seeing no one jumping up, we're going to move over to new business, and over to Director Hiltz, your item of new business, please.
Thank you, Chair. What I'm looking for is support from the board to authorize that alternate director Camilla Berry be able to attend the EA forum on February 3rd and 4th. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to attend it. I'm sticking with the budget, and I just not feeling my capacity being there. So I'm giving an opportunity for Camilla to participate. She's willing and able to do that. The motion that I have, I'm looking for support, is that alternate director Berry be authorized to attend the EA forum February 3rd and 4th, 2021 in an online virtual format, and that alternate director Berry be paid a stipend for attending the EA forum. So I'm willing to move that. Just need a seconder to have a seconder. Thank you. Sorry, Chair. Pardon me. That's what I'm looking for. Thanks, Chair.
I will acknowledge Donna McMahon, Director McMahon, as having seconded your request, and we'll put it up for debate. Who would like to? Director Hiltz, do you want to further motivate?
Well, just that this may be the last one of the. We're looking at changing the remuneration bylaw, so this is maybe one of the few chances left. So the only question I kind of have is I believe it. I'm losing my hearing aid here. It's whether it's 2 half-day sessions. So I'm not sure if we need to specify what stipend means under those conditions, or is it 2 days split over 1 day split over 2 physical days?
Okay.
That's the only kind of question.
Okay, so I'm going to look to the corporate officer to answer that technical question first, and then we'll go on to the speakers list.
Thank you, Chair. It's actually authorized in the remuneration bylaw that an alternate director may attend. Technically, we don't need the resolution, but it is good from a public transparency perspective. And the provision is for a per day attendance. And it doesn't specify whether half day, full day. So it would be that amount per day attended as set out in the bylaw.
Okay. So I'm going to go through the speakers list, and then we'll come back to you, Director Hiltz. Okay. So I've got Director Seekers and then Director McMahon.
Thank you. I know that we have currently budget scheduled for Monday, Tuesday, full day, and Friday. And when we do the agenda review tomorrow, one of the things that I'll be asking Tina about is, given the size of the budget and the volume of material we're going through, can we afford to take a half day off Tuesday to allow the directors actually to attend in person? So I've put out an email to all the directors to ask, what their preference is. I know there are some issues that you're looking at having dialogue with, and it might be something that you want to be there. I'm not sure. So does Tina want to weigh in on that?
I'll look to the CFO if she wants to comment at this time, or wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it at agenda review tomorrow if you like. I can comment if you like.
I'd be happy to hear your comment, CFO.
Well, I just, me, take things based on numbers. So there's 495 pages. A lot of it has to do with our community partners and stakeholders. So we're probably going to spend all day Monday with our community partners and stakeholders. And there's over, I think I just calculated that there's 117 budget proposals to go through. And we only have pretty much Tuesday and Friday to go through. And right now we're thinking that Tuesday will be full to go through CAS and PCD and start with infrastructure and finish with infrastructure on Friday. It's going to be tight just with our 3 days that we have right now.
I think we have our answer.
Thank you, CFO, and thank you to Director Seegers for posing that question. And we'll have the conversation again at agenda review tomorrow. But Director McMahon.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate clash because there are a number of issues involving the rural areas that I really think need to be brought to the provincial level. And there are some concerns, at least that I have, around the entire makeup of the electoral director forum at UBCM and the frequency of meetings. So I'm sorry we're going to miss this because, you know, how could I possibly miss 117 budget proposals? But I welcome a discussion among the directors, perhaps a lunch and learn to go on that list of how we can best move some of the increasingly urgent rural area issues forward at the province. Thanks.
Thank you, Director McMahon. Director Lee, I did have you on the list because I saw your hand up at one point, and then you've brought it down. So I don't know if you'd like to comment.
No, I'm good. I think
Okay.
the issue is covered. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Director Lee. Director Hiltz, do you wish to close debate on your motion on the floor? You're good? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, no one else on the speakers list, is everyone clear about the motion that is on the floor for the alternate director to attend the EA forum and be paid the per day? And I don't know, Director Hiltz, you did have a question about whether or not it was 2 half days or 2 per days, and the corporate officer did clarify that it is the way the remuneration bylaw is set out currently, it would technically be 2 days, the way, because it's over 2 different full days or 2 different half days. Okay.
Yeah, let the bylaw stand.
Let the bylaw stand. Yeah. Okay, so following the current bylaw. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we have that motion on the floor. I see no more questions in the queue. I will call the question on this one. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. All right. Okay, so that was it for new business. We do have a session where we're going in camera. So the members of our gallery that are still watching us, as soon as we make this motion to go in camera, I will go to you if you have any questions and acknowledge you at that time if you want to get ready to raise your hand. I'm going to ask for a motion that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with section 90, 1A, C, K, and 2B of the Community Charter. So may I have that as a motion? Director Seegers, seconded Director Toth. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Over to members of the public. Do you have any questions for us before we go in camera? Public media. Rick, you're the only one left. Please feel free to raise your hand if you have a question or comment for us. Okay, if we can permit. Okay, Rick, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can go ahead and ask or speak whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. I have no questions. I just wanted to. Sometimes it feels rude you ask if we have questions. I just sit here and do nothing if I have none. So I'll just make the point that thank you very much. It's been interesting, but I have no questions today.
Okay. Thank you, Rick, for your polite attendance at our meeting. We really appreciate it. Okay. So with that, I'm going to ask IT to close out the meeting, and we'll remove Rick from our attendees list. Directors, I'm going to give you 4 minutes to just do a quick leg stretch and make sure your spots are secured, and staff to make sure everything is secured. And we'll come back here at 3:10 to convene our in-camera meeting, please. And welcome back. You have now rejoined us at the January 28th Sunshine Coast Regional District regular board meeting, and you've returned with us just in time to have us adjourn. So may I have a motion to adjourn, please? So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us today in our last board meeting of January 2021.